Well, I want to talk a little bit about what the big interview was from Lindsey Williams by Alex Jones, and also he had Max Keiser on there. December 4th, 2012, the next 4 years. And I'm showing a medical marijuana nurse here because this is one of my ultimate solutions to the problem of national health care. Medical marijuana nurse, right? So, but anyway, I want to get into some of the things that were said on these shows. I got it off the news unit. I also, because I was watching this feed and I was getting sick of listening to all the commercials and everything else that was out there. It was Alex Jones, Lindsey Williams, next 4 years. It was right off of this Silver Sprint 999. He has it up here so you can look at it. So it's a lot easier to get through it. Um, Now, I'm going to point out some things that Lindsey Williams said in the past that were totally off base. So when I give you the new information, you realize what it is, you know. And I'm going to comment on this new information, what I really think, because well, I don't like doing these financial ones as much, but I'd probably like to, if I was actually trying to make the money on the YouTube, I think I would concentrate mainly on the health because I have like a good expertise in that, and I see a permanence to that. But these are more or less, you know, you put them out there and whatever happens, fine. So, but as far as Lindsey Williams, he's selling his DVDs. You know, next 4 years, How to Survive, pre-order, $90 or $89.99. This is from the Prophecy Club, and you can buy it different places. So he's a business, okay? I mean, let's not be stupid about this garbage, you know. He talks all this stuff out of the Bible, and he's a business, you know. He's a pastor. I've always looked at these pastors, and I've never really, I personally don't trust pastors and religious people that much. I'll trust an organized crime guy before I trust a pastor. Really, no bullshit. And really, I think one's more honest than the other. But anyway, this was said back on 10/10, October 10th, 2011. I'm going to point out some of these things that Lindsey Williams said in the past, and you can just make up your own mind. But he's got 27 days to make good on this, so maybe the world's going to blow up or something on 12/21. But he said, 2012, Lindsey Williams said, and this was like well over a year ago, 2012 will be the most startling, unusual, eventful year in 2,000 years. And so far, I'm saying this, I said this on a few videos before, so far, nothing happened. We got 27 days left. I don't know, maybe the world's going to blow up. At one point, gasoline prices will rise like a rocket. He was talking 2012. The only place that happened was in California when they had some price gouging due to refinery fires, and also in New Jersey when they had the Hurricane Sandy. So, more duds. Something else I want to talk about with Lindsey Williams, too, you know, and also, like I'm going to show here, the news unit. It's good information source. But he was talking about oil. It was going to be between $150 to $200 a barrel, somewhere between the time frame of June 2011 and October 2011. Actually, the opposite happened and actually went to $75 a barrel. And I was very careful in what I wrote down on his various shows that he was appearing on, Alex Jones, from 2010 to early 2011. Time frames for $150 to $200 barrel oil was going to be between June and October 2011. Never happened. He was really pushing that when the Libyan war was going on. And, you know, when things are heating up with oil from, like, say, I guess they started late February into March and April. Oh, he was really pushing it. Then they dropped. So that was another strike that was way the hell off. Another thing he said that was way the hell off was about silver. He said silver was going to be between $75 and $100 an ounce by the end of 2011. Well, he was making these predictions back in September. And which I found interesting was that Eric Sprott's insider guys were selling off silver at $40 an ounce back in August and early September. And, you know, meanwhile, Lindsey Williams is coming out and saying it's going up to 75 to 100. But Eric Sprott's insider guys were selling off silver at 40. Then it dropped down to 26 at the end of September, creeped back up to 35 in November sometime. Then it went down to 26 at the end of December. So his $75 to $100 prediction turned out to be 26. You know, his $150 to $200 barrel oil turned out to be 75 on two different occasions in that time period he expected. It never even got, I don't even know if it didn't even get over 100 back then, I think, during that time period, unless you're talking to Brent. It was ridiculously off. So here's his predictions for the future. And first, I'm going to go over some of the Max Keisers because I'm going to remark on what he had to say. I don't, I'm going to actually present some solutions to some things, maybe in future videos. I just want to get this out of the way and make it as quick as possible if I can, because I'm condensing what these guys said in essence. Max Keiser was in Alex Jones, December 4th, 2012. Collapse in the government, all this, the financial system. He figures possibly April 2013, or maybe that's when it starts, or there's going to be a major leg down then. He's assuming tax revenue will be very low, and that will cause the debt to be downgraded. I don't think that's a far stretch at all about the debt being downgraded. That's something I was thinking that's going to happen. I thought it could even have happened before the election, for all I know, the way things are going. But once the debt is downgraded, you're going to see gold shoot up quite a bit, but maybe shoot up a little bit too fast. That'd be something to be very careful of, because what happened last time in August of 2011, the debt downgraded and gold shot up, and then actually shot up a little bit more in September 6th, I think it was, to I think 1921, and then it fell back down. I mean, it hit a new record high, but then it fell back down. So maybe that'll cause it to go over 2,000 or something like that. But you might want to sell some and try to buy it back, make a little bet. He goes, central banks don't trust each other. I figure that's a legit thing. One bank will try to break ranks and it'll print money to buy gold. It might be China or Russia. Now, I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but the way I look at it, with central banks don't trust each other, I know sharks don't trust each other, and they never do. But what could be happening even with the banks, like in other words, Bernanke's buying $40 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities from the banks, and the banks in turn are holding, dollars. Well, maybe there's a way to unload them and get other hard assets, even physical gold and silver. I'd be doing this shit. I was recommending doing this to people that had a lot of money before, and they didn't do it. Stupid mother idiots. I don't give a shit. Anyway, it's another story. I've been telling some. Well, anyway, now get on with Lindsey Williams. He gets on with this thing called the Devil's Messiah. The Devil's Messiah is about bankrupting churches, making churches government organs. Basically, religion is a very powerful force, so the people, the powers that be, want religion on their side to make people do more for them. Self-sacrifice and stuff. I mean, actually, the environment is the type of thing that replaces wars and religion. Sacrifice for the environment. The environment, right? That's another game. But anyway, get on with this thing. Lindsey Williams forced debt creation. They're going to force it. Every country and individual, like student loans, and also force it through health care. That's one theory that I could blow them away on anyway. But healthcare, in other words, if you got 30 hours of work or less than 30 hours of work in your work week, the company doesn't pay for your healthcare. So guess what? That means you have to pay for it yourself. It's a tax. It's actually it's a tax. Also, he's talked about taxing the middle class into oblivion. That's something I think is definitely going to happen. It's been basically the theme from day one when they came out with the 16th Amendment. The IRS basically was created back in 1913, more or less, and it was sold to the public as it's going to soak the rich. That bullshit. It was Senator Nelson Aldrich from New York City, the state of New York, that he was actually pushing it, which was an instrument. He was basically working for the Rockefellers and that type of stuff. So the rich wanted it. So quite obviously, what they're going to do, tax the middle class, and that healthcare is a tax. Now, I don't know. There might be ways around it. Now, I put these numbers on the side here because Lindsey Williams was talking about every month that Bernanke goes in and purchases $40 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities, it's going to cause the dollar to go down 4%. So I guess we're going to have, I don't know, 60% inflation or something. I don't know. I think it's going to be more like 15 to 20% inflation, because I'm assuming one of these days, I don't know, maybe never, that there's going to be a war with Iran. It's going to happen one way or the other. It's always been on edge. Any event could start it, and once it starts, energy costs are going to go through the roof, and at least temporarily, and because the Saudi oil fields will probably get bombed too. by terrorists inside their organizations that are not Sunnis, and worldwide. It's also the plan of Iran that you would want the Western economies to be crippled. So high oil prices is a perfect way to do that. So if a war starts, oil prices are going through the roof. So this inflation number, who the hell knows? It could be way up there. But if oil goes through the roof, so does gold and silver. He didn't say this. I'm saying this, but that's common sense. That's like a postulate. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you that. That's a postulate. Oil goes to the roof, so do gold and silver. Now, this Lindsey Williams, another one, he said, the dollar will be very gradually phased out over the next 4 years. Now, how does that conflict with his last statements? The dollar will be dead by the end of 2012. Now, here it's the end of 2012 after he makes those predictions. The dollar will be dead. Well, the dollar has been losing its world reserve currency status piecemeal for years. Yes, at one point in time it's going to go down a lot faster, I agree, but I don't know where his predictions are helping me because they're not accurate. They're off too far. I don't like that. So, he's selling DVDs for $89.99. So that's all I got to say, okay? Then he goes on, there's 3 factions, and I don't know if he explained this right. And Alex Jones was saying, well, you said there was 2 factions or whatever, but he says there's the old-fashioned elite, like the old barons and stuff. Then you got the renegade elite, like the BRICS group, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Which, to tell you the truth, Chinese elite, I don't know. All these guys are working together, and they all could backstab each other 2 seconds flat. Then he goes, plus 15 nations, and he says something about Obama is like a renegade elite or something. It was pretty fuzzy what he was saying with this, but I do see the normal type of East versus West type stuff that we've been seeing for like decades. Chinese and Russians are definitely not on the same program as the West. There might be this cooperation going on, but if one can move to get the upper hand in the world, they will. They will. Common sense, right? I'm not selling you a DVD, but that's common sense, right? Now, Lindsey Williams says about gold, by 2016, gold is going to 3,000. I think that's a very reasonable target. It's probably maybe going to go more. I don't know. But, I'm overly bullish on the metals, too, because I'm in the physical metal camp. The other thing is with silver and, say, for instance, in gold, if you're looking at like a 3-year cycle where it bottomed out, with the last recession, 2008, 2009, you might want to figure the end of 2014 to the beginning of 2015 where the next peak will be. And I figure if gold and silver really get up there really high and it's taken off vertical, it's not going to last. But what would happen is that would be your reset. In other words, they would default on the debt and there'd be a restructuring. So and that's not what his words are, but my attack on the elite for us should be medical marijuana nurses. That's what I say. Medical marijuana nurses are going to be the attack on elite from the middle class. This is something the single mother can do, She wants to be a nurse, an amateur nurse, or whatever else she wants to do. Grow some weed and some pots, get some oil together. I know it's illegal, but, the way I'm looking at it, breathing's going to be illegal in this country. And we do know it solves the cure of cancer. It solves, it solves every damn thing. I would also, but if you're going to stick your neck out on this and try to save somebody with cancer, I would use a lot of research from Israel. They have a lot of research on medical marijuana in Israel. Actually, Israel's, I know a lot of people on this YouTube don't like Israel, they don't like Jews, and, I'm talking about the ones doing medical marijuana research, okay? God, sometimes people get all mad when I talk something nice about Israel. They're like, you Zionist. I'm not a Zionist. But anyway, that would be the way I would approach it. I would take any kind of information you can get from Israel that's legitimate, the research they're doing, and try to, and actually it's gotten legal in a lot of parts of the country, so it's probably going to get a lot more legal in other parts of the country. This could actually destroy the socialized medical system that Obama's trying to push. And it's not Obama, it's the elite that own them are trying to push. And, the elite that are actually sitting behind Obama is really these 2 leaves back here, because this represents the real power, not the crusty old farts that Lindsey Williams talks to. The real power lies in his plant. And this real powerful plant is whispering into Obama's ear, you're going to do as we tell you, or else we're not going to give you any weed. You're not going to be able to inhale ever again. So that's how I look at the deal that Lindsey Williams, Alex Jones, and Max Keiser, and a whole host of others, doomsdayers out there, and I could name a whole list of names. Fabian for Liberty. They're a bunch of Grinches that stole Christmas. God, it's ridiculous. They have nothing good to say about nothing. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. Medical nurses, medical marijuana nurses, it could be help and healing throughout the body, throughout the nation. Much less costly, no cost involved, maybe some minor fees. And that would be the way to approach the socialized medical problems that we have out here in the United States. We got a plant that does everything, a plant that can provide energy and everything else. So, but what I stated before, if you just rewind this with the little notes on it, that's the deal. The collapse is happening, slow, more enforced debt. The dollar is going to last maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 years, but it'll be done by the end of Obama's administration now. God. Anyway, there's one thing about predictions. If they don't come true, just make a new one. As long as you could sell another DVD. I'm being too hard on this guy, but I really, this is one reason I get on this YouTube. It's more because I realize I could probably give you much better solid advice than these guys just by looking at the mainstream information. Mainstream, right? Some people hate that. I mean, I had one person come at me and say, you look at mainstream information, oh, that's no good. Well, you know what? I'm looking at the facts. I mean, it doesn't mean I agree with those bastards, but I'm looking at the facts. So, I could pretty much tell the way things are. And, the other sense is that, it's not a sense, it's just human nature. Even if you have the elite agreeing with each other, they don't agree with each other because they got such big damn egos and such big ambitions, they'll stab each other in the back, too. So, we got the power. The power is that marijuana leaf. And, I don't know, single mothers want to be entrepreneurs and they're broke. Medical marijuana nurse, there you go. Good new job.